A nuclear deal with Iran. This is SkyWatchTV News for Tuesday, July 14th, 2015. I'm Derek Gilbert. A six-nation group led by the United States formally announced a deal with Iran over its nuclear program today. This followed several delays, 20 months of negotiations. Could be considered the biggest diplomatic achievement of President Obama's term. Now, depending on who you ask, this is either a profoundly positive change or a stunning historic mistake. Those are the words of Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Israel and Saudi Arabia, both of whom see Iran as a clear and present danger, opposed this deal. But the truth is, there really wasn't much that we could do to prevent Iran from reaching developing a nuclear weapon if they really want to get their hands on one. If we do nothing, they get a nuke. If we threaten them with war, we only convince hardliners in Iran that they need a nuke. If we negotiate, perhaps they get a nuke, but maybe not as quickly. Under the terms of the deal, reportedly, this may delay the development of an Iranian nuke by up to 10 years. Now, I recognize that Iran does pose a threat to Israel. I also recognize that Iran is a state sponsor of terror around the world. I'm also old enough to remember 1983 when 241 U.S. Marines and dozens of French paratroopers were killed by Hezbollah, backed by Iran, when their barracks were destroyed at the Beirut airport. But based on our experiences in Iraq and Afghanistan, Syria, elsewhere in the last 13 years, a war with Iran to prevent them from developing a nuke would likely kill thousands and maybe millions of people, lives that we are ostensibly trying to save by negotiating. In my opinion, this was the least bad option. Now, the aspect of the Iranian deal that I find really disturbing is, to be quite frank, the cowardly abdication of constitutional responsibility by Republicans in Congress. 2 months ago, they passed a bill that gave the president the authority to negotiate this deal and reserved for itself only a 60-day review period after which they could vote to disapprove the deal. The problem is that the U.S. Constitution says that all foreign treaties, which this definitely is, must be approved by a two-thirds majority in the U.S. Senate. This gives all U.S. states, regardless of size, an equal vote in foreign policy, and it checks the power of the executive branch. It prevents the president from acting like a king. But by voting to give the president this power and reserving for itself only the right to disapprove, the Senate has lowered the bar from 67 senators approving to only 34. You see, President Obama has voted, or has made it clear, that he would veto any vote to block this deal from taking place. Overriding his veto, according to the Constitution, requires a two-thirds majority. Therefore, only 34 senators are required to approve this deal instead of 67. The Republicans are playing politics, in my opinion. Any treaty, any contract is only as good as the parties who sign it. And there is a very good chance that this treaty will not accomplish what we are being told it will accomplish. But by this vote, Republicans have placed responsibility for anything that goes wrong on the president and, by extension, the Democratic Party. It's a nice bit of political theater, but it also sets a bad precedent. Future presidents only need a one-third majority in Senate to negotiate treaties with foreign countries. And another piece of the Constitution falls into the dustbin of history. Another foreign policy coup for the president was the regime change in Ukraine last year. A pro-Western government took over after the government of Viktor Yanukovych was basically thrown out of office by popular protest. This change, however, the legacy beginning to unravel even before the president is out of office. The New York Times, which is usually a cheerleader for the neocon foreign policy of the U.S. government, actually admitted in a recent article that militia units leading the fight against Russian-backed rebels in the eastern part of Ukraine are white supremacists, neo-Nazis. One in particular, called the Azov Battalion, uses a symbol called the Wolfsangel, or wolf's hook, that was taken from a symbol used by a Waffen-SS unit in World War II. Unless you think this is just a coincidence or an accident, you can see the symbols on the helmet of this Azov Battalion soldier here. It's not a coincidence. Now, the House of Representatives, recognizing this, to their credit, last month voted unanimously to ban support and training for the Azov Battalion. And furthermore, in this same article, the New York Times admits that militant Islamic groups from Chechnya have arrived in Ukraine now and are fighting alongside the neo-Nazis against the Russian-backed rebels. This, too, is no surprise. There's a long history of collaboration and cooperation between Nazis and militant Islamists. The Germans in World War II set up 2 Waffen-SS battalions in the Middle East comprised entirely of Muslim soldiers. Given that the Taliban was created by the CIA and Pakistani intelligence to fight the Russians and later turn their guns on us, and that the Islamic State was basically created by the CIA and other Western intelligence services that wanted to effect regime change in Syria, one wonders about the long-term effect of bringing Islamic soldiers into Ukraine to fight the Russians. They don't always keep their guns turned in the direction you want. In other geopolitical news, the government of Greece has apparently caved into the rest of the Eurozone. The government of Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras accepted terms of a deal that are more harsh than the deal rejected by Greek voters by almost a 2/3 majority a week ago Sunday. The Prime Minister facing a backlash from his own party now in Greece. One Greek minister calling this a coup by Germany. And another says the only way to break out of this neo-colonial servitude is to break free of the monetary union. In other words, abandon the euro and go back to the Greek drachma. What's been offered is a $96 billion bailout, except it's not really a bailout. It's really $96 billion of new debt on top of the debt that Greece already can't repay. $55 billion in Greek state assets, airports, and other hard assets will be overseen by an outside authority, essentially used as collateral to prevent the Greek government from reneging on this deal. Now, this is harsh. There's a strong feeling in Northern Europe that the Greeks are paying the price for their own carelessness, irresponsible spending. But there's also a feeling growing in countries like Italy and France that the Germans are overreaching their authority within the Eurozone, that they are acting like they dominate the Eurozone, that the EU is essentially an extension of the German government. This is exposing some cracks in the European Union. It's getting a little more difficult from a prophetic viewpoint to view the European Union as the seven-headed, ten-horned beast on which the Scarlet Woman rides in the book of Revelation. A disturbing story released today by the Center for Medical Progress. The Center for Medical Progress is a citizens journalism group dedicated to investigating trafficking, according to their website, in fetal body parts. A video released today, they claim, shows the top medical doctor of Planned Parenthood at a lunch meeting discussing how their clinics sell the body parts of aborted fetuses and admitting that partial birth abortion techniques are used in order to supply intact parts. The Center for Medical Progress says the video is the first in a series it plans to release, the result of a 3-year investigation into Planned Parenthood's alleged participation in trafficking aborted fetal parts. Tonight, a fascinating 2-part series begins on SkyWatchTV on the Christian Television Network as Gary Stearman returns to SkyWatchTV, but this time in the guest chair, discussing his book, Time Travelers of the Bible, How the Hebrew Prophets Shattered the Barriers of Time-Space. That airs tonight on the Christian Television Network. That's DirecTV Channel 376, Dish Network Channel 267, and Glory Star Satellite Channel 117. Oh, by the way, you can also watch it at the Christian Television Network website, ctnonline.com. And if you miss it tonight, you can watch it beginning tomorrow morning and on demand at your convenience on the SkyWatch TV Roku channel. If you have a Roku account, log on, search the channel store for SkyWatch TV, or if you want a direct link to the SkyWatch TV channel in the channel store, just log on to skywatchtv.com/Roku. Here at SkyWatch TV, we really depend on your support, prayerful and financial, and your gift of $10 or more for the month of July. As a way of thanking you for that gift, we'll send you this very timely book, I Promise How 5 Commitments Determine the Destiny of Your Marriage by Dr. Gary Smalley. Again, that's yours, no charge, for your financial gift of $10 or more during the month of July. And instructions on how to give are posted at skywatchtv.com. The new Skywatch magazine is just about ready to go. Sharon is working on the final layout for that. It is an online magazine available to you at no charge and features for the month of July some really great content. Doug Woodward, Doug Overmeyer, Gans Shimura, Dr. Michael Lake, Josh Peck, Sharon Gilbert and myself, all in putting together articles for this month's content. It's actually an awful lot to take in, and we hope you find the content edifying and educational. Again, the magazine is yours for free. It is mobile ready, so you can read it on your laptop, desktop, or if you've got a smartphone or tablet, it'll reformat it automatically for the smaller screen, and the link to the free Skywatch magazine posted in that top menu bar at skywatchtv.com. Just one final note. On Friday, I reported on the story of a gay man who filed suit against a couple of Christian publishers for using the word homosexual in certain editions of their Bible. While the facts of the case were essentially correct, I did not did not do enough checking to notice that the story was actually from 2008. A source that I normally consider reliable published it as though it were news, and I accepted it at face value. A number of Christian news outlets were caught, but that doesn't excuse the failure to do due diligence on my part. A couple of sharp-eyed viewers caught it, emailed me about it, and were correct. I should have caught this, and I regret the mistake. Frankly, this is kind of embarrassing. As a confession, I have a bit of intellectual pride. Despite plenty of evidence to the contrary, I have a tendency to think that I'm the smartest person in any room, and this is just one more piece of evidence that just isn't the case. Truth is, I consider this a high calling. The Lord, for whatever reason, created me as a news junkie and as somebody who enjoys stringing words together verbally. He doesn't need me creating stories, fabricating stories, spinning stories, or twisting stories to try to make him look good. I take that into account every day. And while I will make mistakes, I promise you that every day when I come into work, I will do my very best to make sure the information is accurate and correct, and that while I do inject my opinion into the stories, obviously, I will try to do so without adding anything to his word or taking anything away from it. And I do appreciate your comments and your fact-checking when I fall short. Send your email to me, dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. And thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is Skywatch TV.